Hi and welcome back to my booktube channel. My name is Sam and today I'm going to be talking to you about the books that I read in August because I got so many books off of my DBR. I'm so happy and I just want to share them with you. There's some that I despised, there's some that I loved, and then there's a lot that I was like, yeah, it was good. But yeah, we need to talk about these, so let's get to the video. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more from me or you just like my content. But yeah, let's get straight into them. Now I'm going to quickly start with the ones that I can't talk about in this video because I either have a video coming about them or I've already done a video. But the first one is the most obvious one, which is Fourth Wing. I have a 44-minute video on this one with all my ramblings and thoughts. It was fun, but basically just Divergent with dragons. They're my summed up thoughts. If you want to see more explanation behind that or some more of my reactions and thoughts, check out my video. It's the one before this, if that makes sense. I'll leave it in the description. But yeah, I'm not going to be talking about Fourth Wing. I'm also not going to be talking about A Conjuring of Light because I did a video on this trilogy as well. It was the first episode of my Trilogy Talk series that I'm going to do. So if you want to see my thoughts, I'll leave that one in the description as well. And then the final one that I'm not going to be talking about in this video, but I did read in August, was Shatter Me. I have a video coming up about reading this series. So yeah, stay tuned for that one. Subscribe for that. But yeah, I'm not going to be talking about Shatter Me either. But I did read these 3 books in August. I just wanted to point that out, but I'm not going to talk about them in this video. So let's get into some of the books that I will talk about in this video. So I've kind of split this into different categories, and we're going to start with the translated fiction because it's just 2 books and they're 2 that I really liked. So let's get straight into them. So the first one is a Spanish translated fiction, and this is Tender is the Flesh. Now I first saw this ages ago on Jayla's channel, Lala Loves Lit, on both YouTube and Instagram, so definitely check her out. But I saw this on her channel ages ago and I had it on my notes to get and read for ages because it has the most insane plot. So basically, in this world, all the animals got a virus, which means they are no longer edible to humans. So humans start breeding other humans to eat instead. And there's so much body horror, there's so much horror, and it's just playing out horrifying. Like, my mum read this because of me. She saw me reading it and went, that sounds interesting, I'll read that. Now she's vegetarian. So if that floats your boat, then do that. My only complaint with this one is the ending felt a bit random. It felt a bit cartoonish. Like, it felt like we just forgot the character development we went through and it just kind of flipped all of a sudden. But that's all I'm going to say. That's my only complaint about this book. But yeah, Jayla, you owe me therapy because this book was horrifying. And then the next translated fiction I read was Japanese, obviously. I love a bit of Japanese literature, and this one is 3 Assassins. This one, it follows Suzuki as his wife and kid were like killed by these like mafia assassin people, so he's trying to get himself into this world to get revenge, but then he gets caught up in this kind of like this whole madness, this whole world of assassins he gets caught up in without even intending to. There's the pusher who pushes people in front of traffic, there's the whale who makes people want to unalive themselves, and there's the casita, the little fly animal. I don't know how to say the name of it, but he is just a maniac as well. He just kills anyone. So we have these 3 different assassins, and the plot's all intertwined. We get POVs from all of them, including Suzuki, and it's just a mess, but a fun mess. And we are like, they're trying to hunt each other down, they're trying to figure out who each one is, and it's just a lot of fun. And yeah, it all entwines at the end so beautifully, and I love it. So definitely check out 3 Assassins. Now, these next books are going to look a little bit familiar because they were in a previous video. So my video titled I Stormed a Book Warehouse, aka a 66 books book haul, like the warehouse is called 66 books. I actually read quite a few of the books I hauled in that video, and I'm really proud of myself. Like, who knew that this was possible? Like, feeling so good from reading books you bought recently. I said this in a previous video, I swear. But it just feels so good to read the books you bought recently because you're like, oh, I read it. The first one I'm going to start with is going to immediately kill that mood because I'm going to talk about Meet Elle and the Dying Girl. Now, I hate this novel. I would not recommend anyone read this one because it's just so bad. Like, the characters are so unlikable. We follow this little brat who is forced to be friends with this girl with cancer, and it's kind of that story between that, and it's just the way he describes the people around him, the way he treats his mum, the thought processes he has, the thoughts he has. He's just a terrible human, and that can work. I love a morally ambiguous character, as you'll see in some later books. But this just didn't work. There was nothing redeemable about him. There was nothing to intrigue me to want to read about his perspective. And I said in my Instagram review, if you want to see my Instagram, it's the @SamYoungsBooks. But I said in my Instagram review, this would be more interesting if it was about the dying girl. But then I was like, well, it would just be Fault in Our Stars, not my stars. And I think that's the whole point. And this book does reference its own badness within it. It's like, why are you reading this book? If you're still reading, you must hate yourself and that kind of thing. I'm like, just because you acknowledged it in the book doesn't mean it makes the book any better. But yeah, I don't recommend Meet Earl and the Dying Girl at all. The next one, a bit more positive, is Within These Wicked Walls, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed this one. I immediately picked it up because it was about exorcists and demons, and I didn't actually know this until I read a review about this after I'd finished the book. It's a retelling of either Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights. I can't remember which. I'm so sorry. I could have checked. I didn't. But it's either one of those two. And I didn't know that, and it makes a bit more sense. I wasn't a massive fan of the love situation in this novel. It wasn't my favourite, but it wasn't awful. I didn't really care for it. But I enjoyed the kind of shenanigans with the demons. And yeah, this is set in a world where demons are real and we have exorcists, and our main character was kicked out of the Exorcist Academy because the person didn't think she was good enough, basically. And she is trying to get a rich person to vouch for her by doing work for them, and then she can get further work as an exorcist, like that. So that is that. I really like the magic system with the kind of amulets and the silver. But yeah, that's all I have to say for Within These Wicked Walls. If I could speak in this video, this would be amazing. Then the next one I have is The End We Start From, which is kind of a climate crisis novel about Britain, and all the tides have risen up, and we follow our main character, who is a new mother. She's just given birth, and she is kind of questioning what it is to be a mother in this situation and bringing a child into this completely new world. So it's kind of like this child has come into a new world, as well as she's now being brought into this new world, and it's full of sadness and separation, and it's just really sad, and it's told within these short sentence structure. It's told in random sentences like this, if that makes sense, which does kind of limit the world building, which is one thing I wish we'd got a bit more of. But yeah, other than that, it was a really nice novel, and it is very applicable to situations within our own world, not just the climate crisis, even though we're in a climate crisis. But this goes further. But this still applies to us now, and the kind of situations that you see on the news. But yeah, it was just really sad. And the characters in here I thought was really interesting. There was a kind of an sorry, dyslexic, I can't say it. Anonymity. Anonymous. That the word that goes with anonymous. To this, because all the characters didn't have names. They were just like letters. They were like V, B, C, A, D, E, that kind of thing. And I thought that kind of lent itself to kind of the anonymous vibe of this novel, and making it more applicable to other situations that maybe aren't just this novel. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Then the next one I have is Idle Burning, which is kind of a dissection into the relationship between K-pop stars and their fans. And this one follows a young girl who is obsessed with this specific idol, who is all over the news. He punched one of his fans in the face, kind of like how Ezra Miller took out a girl behind a bar because they are a psychopath. Like Ezra Miller. But yeah, the K-pop idol punched a fan in the face, and it's all over the news. It's controversy, and we kind of see the dissection of how this fan kind of defends this action, but then starts to question things. It's a really interesting novel, really short. I definitely recommend this one. It was fun. Then the next one, as I said earlier, I enjoy a morally ambiguous character. I enjoy a character that's not necessarily a good person, but it's written in a way in which you can kind of understand their situation, or you can kind of understand why they're the way they are. And that is Blood Sugar, which I've read the description in my 66 books video, but basically this is about a kind of, she's not a psychopath. She says she's not a psychopath, but I think she is, because basically She murdered. She has done 3 murders, but she's now being arrested for a 4th one that she didn't even commit. And it's kind of like this situation where she's like, I got away with 3 murders. Why are you trying to arrest me for one that I didn't even do? And it's kind of frustration behind that, and kind of it delves in to the past, her past, and why she murdered these people, and why maybe it was okay, why it was wrong, and situations like that. She's also a therapist, which I thought was a really interesting angle. So it's like she's helping these other people, but her herself has her dark secrets. And it was just a really interesting novel. I really enjoyed this one. I squeezed this in like a minute before midnight into September, so I counting this here. But yeah, I really do recommend Blood Sugar. It was such a fun read, and if you want a bit of thrillery kind of murder mystery, well, it's not really murder mystery. We know who did the murder, but yeah, it's an interesting novel, and I don't have much else to say because I don't want to spoil it. But I really enjoyed this one, so I do recommend this one. Then the next one that I want to talk about is When Ghosts Come Home, which I also enjoyed. I enjoyed this one. This one is about this kind of community on this small kind of islandy town place where a plane crash lands randomly in the field in the middle of the night. And when they go to explore it, there's also a dead body, not in the plane, but next to the plane. And it's kind of like, how did he die? Why is he there? Where's the plane come from? What was the plane doing out here? And it's kind of this mystery behind that. There's racial tension, there's divides between the communities, there's family issues between the detective and his family, because the detective's daughter has just come back and she has her own problems. And yeah, it's just this kind of ball of messiness and mystery to unravel, and it's really interesting, and I actually quite enjoyed my time reading it. I didn't think this would be my kind of thing because it is more like thriller, but in the sense of boring thriller. Like I going into it, I thought it would be boring, but it was actually quite interesting, and I enjoyed it. And I still love the cover, the white, the red, the ghosts. I love the word ghosts for some reason. It's just pleasing to look at. But yeah, I do recommend When Ghosts Come Home if you're interested in thrillers and that description, that poor description that I just did. Then the next book that I read, the final one from this kind of section, is the Heartstopper Yearbook. This is kind of like a fun little addition to the Heartstopper universe, which is a boy meets boy love story between 2 secondary school students, high school if you're American, between Nick Nelson, who is a year 11, and Charlie Spring, who is a year 10, and it's really cute. Like, if you haven't heard of Heartstopper, where are you? But Heartstopper, it's just so cute, and this was such a fun addition with some extra art and some descriptions on the characters, and I think there was a bonus story in here, I can't remember actually. But yeah, it was just such a fun little addition, and I'm happy I picked it up for such a cheap price. So yeah, that is the Heartstopper Yearbook. I definitely recommend if you're a Heartstopper fan. If you haven't read Heartstopper, go read Heartstopper. What are you doing with your life? This is pathetic. You need to read Heartstopper. Also in August, I caught with 2 manga series that I've been reading and loving, so I wanted to talk about those as well. So I caught up on Spy Family. I read the 8th and the 9th volume, and Spy Family is basically set in this world where there's 2 continents that have been at war for ages, but now they're in a time of peace. But some people are trying to disrupt that and start the war again. And we follow an international spy called Lloyd, who is tasked to kind of infiltrate this boarding school with a fake family that he has to create to kind of stop the person trying to start the war again. And he first goes about adopting a little child called Anya. She is a telepath. She can read minds, but she doesn't want to tell him. So it's kind of like they don't know about each other. She knows he's a spy because she can read his mind, but he doesn't know anything. And it's so adorable. I love them. And then we later get the mother figure in this kind of nuclear family situation, who ends up being an assassin. This isn't a spoiler. Like, this is the plot of the manga. But yeah, it's kind of this found family, kind of fake family scenario, and it's just so much fun. The characters are so lovable, and there's a later edition, which I'm not going to mention because I feel like that is a spoiler, but there's a later edition to this nuclear family who's also amazing. And yeah, I love these books, and I'm so happy that I read them. I saw Monique on the Roomies Digest. I've mentioned them again. But I saw Monique was obsessed with these. I saw a reel on their Instagram where Monique was like, can you read any other books? And she's just holding Spy Family. I was like, that's it. That's the last straw. I'm reading this manga that I've heard so much about. And I bought all of the series, all 9 volumes in Japan. And I'm so glad I did because it just makes it feel a bit more nice to have like the Japanese copies of these. Anyway, the next manga series I caught up with was Alice in Borderlands. I read volume 5 and 6. I can't really talk much about this, what happened in these ones specifically, but again, this is kind of like a Hunger Games scenario where all these depressed people in Tokyo looked up at the sky one day and these fireworks happened, and then suddenly they were transported to a desolate, abandoned Tokyo where they have to compete in these games based around cards from a deck of cards, like 7 of clubs, 5 of spades, that kind of thing. They have to compete in these death games that are all different, psychological, physical, that kind of thing, to extend their visas. If their visas run out while they're still in this Borderlands, they die. So it's kind of this game of like, how do we get out of here? What is going on? Where are we? What is the situation? And it's just so much fun. And these 2 volumes go together. And yeah, I really enjoyed them. And we get like, we follow a main character, but we also get short stories from other people in the kind of world. And it's just so much fun. And I love Alice in Borderlands. I've heard bad things about the show, but the manga is the best. The manga is so good. Check out the manga if you haven't already because it's so good. But yeah, that's Spy Family and Alice in Borderlands. Okay, we're down to the last 3 books. So the next topic is podcasters. I hate podcasters. I hate them. Okay, that's a joke. If you have a podcast, let me know in the comments. I'll give it a listen. But these 2 books involve podcasters and it made me hate them because I hated them so much. These characters are so unlikable. Again, I just had a weird month this August with just characters I hated. But the first book I have is Lord of the Fly Fest. This follows a bunch of influencers who get stuck on a desert island thinking there's a festival there, but the festival turned out to be a scam. But they don't want to do that. They want to save face, so they start pretending that it is actually happening. And our main character has a podcast, and her podcast is called like Musical Mysteries, and she's trying to uncover the mystery behind this like celebrity musician who apparently killed all his girlfriends previously, and his current girlfriend, and she's trying to figure out what happened there. And it's so stupid. The main character is so unlikable. Like, she thinks she's so much better than the 2 like the one-dimensional influencers, but she's really not. She's awfully written. She makes stupid decisions. This whole book feels like it should be written, it was written by a toddler. Like, it's so stupid. There's scenes where these influencers who are not portrayed with any nuance at all, like they're not portrayed as actual people. Like, I know influencers are stupid and idiots, but that's like the face they put on the internet. I'm sure behind it they are actual real people with emotions and feelings and actual thoughts. They're not complete idiots. Well, maybe they are, but on the online they are. But this has no nuance. They're just one-dimensional idiots who rub poo on their faces as makeup because that's how stupid they are. They don't know that bananas go off. Like, who in their right mind thinks that influencers are actually like this? Like, chill. There's no nuance to this book. It was awful. I dragged my way through. I think through the last few chapters I just started skipping the description because it just went on. There was so much unnecessary description in this novel, and I just started reading the dialogue, and even then it was so flipping stupid. These characters are so dumb, and the plot was dumb, and there was nothing likable about this book. And there is a character called Hella Badid, who is very much Bella Hadid, and I don't know how she has not sued this author because there's some very unflattering descriptions of Hella Badid in this novel, and I'm like, do you just hate Bella Hadid specifically? Like, what did she do to you? What did Bella Hadid do to you to make you write a specific character with a poorly renamed version of themselves? What did Bella Hadid do to you? Anyway, I hate podcasters, so I'm not even going to put that one next to me. Then we have Feed. I was going to say Feed, which is the first book in kind of this zombie series, and I will not be continuing because this had barely any zombies. We get the premise that the zombies in this world get smarter as they become hordes, and it's such a good idea, but it's not utilised at all. It's mentioned in the first chapter and then we just don't see any of that. The zombies appear like 3 times and they play a very small, minute part of this novel's narrative, and it's so annoying because I just want a good zombie series, a good zombie book. After reading The Walking Dead, which you can't actually see, but I have like a little Walking Dead shrine a little up there in the corner because I love The Walking Dead. It's my comfort show. I love it so much. Glenn Reed, I love him. But if you want to get to my heart, just talk to me about The Walking Dead because I love that show so flipping much. But yeah, this was atrociously written. Again, there was like a podcast and they were like hired to follow down around this new presidential figure, which, can I say, American politics are so boring to read about. Like, I'm not saying any other politics in the world are more interesting. I'm just saying America specifically. Your politics is boring. I don't want to read about it. But they follow around this new presidential candidate as he's trying to become the president of this kind of zombie land. And there's still kind of ideas of classism and stuff like that. And it's just boring. Like, if you're going to write a zombie novel, write about the zombies. Don't write about American politics, please. Make it interesting. But yeah, there's also very much incesty vibes between the two main characters who are siblings, brother and sister. And I know I'm not alone in feeling this because I read reviews after finishing this who also said they felt that. And I'm like, I feel so validated that it wasn't just me that caught on that because they are so weirdly close. They are so weirdly close and it gets really gross. And the author specifically states that neither of them are interested in romantic relationships. They don't want romance. I think, is that because they're in love with each other? It's so creepy. It's so flipping creepy. Like, what is it with these incest plots? Shadowhunters. I am thinking about doing a revisiting Shadowhunters, so let me know if you want that. But yeah, incest plotline, podcasters, no zombies. It was atrocious. This is the same author who wrote the Wayward Children series, the Every Heart Doorway series, which I want to give another go because I've seen like Stephanie Bookish, The Roomies Digest, how good it was again. I was like, am I wrong? Was I wrong when I read it the first time? So I'm maybe thinking about trying that again. But this is the same author of this and it's not giving me much more hope. So yeah, I really didn't like Feed. It was so bad. I'm not going to continue. Then the last book that I'm going to talk about in this video, the last book I read, Fahrenheit 451, which is a classic and it's very topical. Today specifically in America with all these book bans where they're basically just banning LGBTQ AI plus books. Anyway, this is very topical because this is set in a world where books are burned. We have firefighters who don't fight fires, they actually start the fires and they burn books because they have the idea that all the problems caused in the past are because of books. Books are the cause for wars, for debates, for prejudices, for atrocities, that kind of thing. It's all down to the books, duh. So they are burning those. But then the main character starts to question this reality and he starts to maybe read a little bit of the books that he's supposed to be burning. And it's a very interesting novel. It very much feels like a George Orwell book, specifically 1984, with the idea of like rewriting history and changing history, that kind of thing. And I really enjoyed it. And I saw as well that Barack Obama really liked this book. So if you don't want to listen to me, listen to Barack Obama, who says Ray Bradbury's gift for storytelling reshaped our culture and expanded our world. Barack Obama. So if you're not going to listen to me, listen to Obama. But yeah, this one was such a good book. I really enjoyed this one and I'm glad I finally got around to it. It is a classic that I actually liked because I'm not a massive classics person, but this one I liked. I do recommend this one. So yeah, they're all the books that I read in August. Now that was a lot of books, so I hope that didn't like discourage you. If you didn't read this many books, that is totally fine. To be a reader, you do not need to read giant stacks of books. One book a month or one book every 2 months or one book a year, you're still a reader. So please don't be discouraged if you're watching this. I'm like, he read so much. He read more than me. Like, what are they up to? So yeah, don't be discouraged. You read however you want. Read whatever you want. But yeah, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll let you get on with your day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. And leave a comment and tell me your favourite book from August. I was going to say favourite and worst. I would also like to hear your worst book, but I feel like it's better to have a bit of positivity in the comment section. But if you left an essay about a book you hated this month, I would I would so love to read that. That would be so fun. I love a good rant about books. But yeah, tell me your favourite book. Tell me your least favourite book. Tell me a book you think I should read. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. Bye!